Welcome back to this Gentle Awareness Through Movement series in the Feldenkrais Awareness Summit. I'm Dorothy Henning, and you can learn more about me and my Feldenkrais practice at integrativemovement.us. The name of this lesson is Lifting Your Arm in Thought. Please lie down on your back, on a mat on the floor, or on your bed. Put something under your head if you like. Elongate your arms and legs, or bend your knees if this is more comfortable for you. Adjust and squiggle a little and get comfortable. Remembering the idea of the beans in the jar and how we move them around a little and they settle in, making room for more. As you become quiet and settle in, begin to observe your breathing and how it changes as your system begins to calm. Does your breathing become longer, gently fuller? Observe the space you have inside of you as the breath enters and departs as you rest. Knowing for this time now, there is nowhere you have to be, nothing you have to do. Gently draw your attention to the contact you are making with the surface behind you. How does your back spread and touch the floor or bed? Do you feel any ribs in contact with the surface? Imagine the length of your spine from the base of your head and follow it as your attention travels along its gentle curves until it arrives at your sacrum and then to your tailbone. Then softly sweep your attention up your spine again. How do the shoulder blades spread out to the sides of the spine? And how do they make contact? And observe how this spreading continues out from your back and into your arms, how your back spreads like wings into your arms. Cinch your hips and pelvis, and imagine how your spine and back spread into your hips and pelvis and into your legs. And imagine up through your spine, you arrive gently to your head. Can you place in your mind all parts of you spreading out from your spine and your center, and how the breath shows you the way? Could you elongate your arms to your sides, if that is comfortable? Now choose one arm and let your arm float up away from the surface, not too high, keeping the arm softly straight, and then come down. It may be best to have your arm not too far from your side when you do this. You decide what distance feels nice, but to make it easier for it to kind of float up somewhat straight, softly straight, and then softly come down. Doing it just 2 or 3 times, just enough to notice how heavy is the arm. And the elbow is gently straight, so the arm kind of goes up all together, and it hinges a little at the shoulder. You can go even just a few inches is fine, just to feel what it's like to lift it and how heavy it is. What do you feel on the surface behind your shoulder blade or back as you do this, or in your neck or jaw. Now let the arm rest, and please pause. You may want to change the position of your arms for the pause. Please elongate now the same arm along your side again. Now, these movements are all going to be in your imagination, not moving in reality. And imagine now that you gently extend your index finger and softly lift your finger and then lift your arm, and you're initiating the lifting with your index finger. And then softly comes the arm in your imagination. Letting it float up softly, then gently float it back down again. And when you come and bring the arm down in your imagination, you rest, landing the plane, letting all the people off before you take off again. Feldenkrais calls this starting with a clean slate, fresh for the next movement. Continue the movement in your imagination. Can you sense, or rather imagine sense, the trajectory of the movement from your index finger bones through your hand, and as a line, where does it travel up your arm as you lift your arm? Does your arm turn slightly to follow this path of the index finger? What do you imagine sense at your shoulder blade as the contact changes with the surface? Where can you let go of unnecessary tension? At your neck, along your jaw, in your leg, your foot, your toes? Behind every contraction is an idea. Letting go of unnecessary tension or effort can often aid our movement much more than telling ourselves what to do. So that instead of layering ideas on top of old ideas, which only begets conflict, we simply let go of unnecessary work, contractions, which are ideas. And then our mind is free to find new ways, easy ways. And rest. Rest from your imagination concentration. Now could you do the same thing of lifting the arm, but initiating this time with your middle finger? So the arm gently lifts, initiating with the middle finger, all in your imagination, and then gently returning the arm to the surface. Again, following the pathway through the bones of this finger, and where does it travel up your arm? Does your arm change its angle slightly when you initiate the lifting with this finger? Where do you feel the pressure go down into the surface as you lift the arm? It is like a lever, an imagined sense. What goes down to allow the arm to go up? And what may you imagine sense in your chest, your back, and your hip on the same side as this arm that is imaginary lifting? And when you bring it down, letting go of the effort, what do you feel release? It may surprise you to feel a release in the hip or the back. In fact, it is not so much effort that occurs with a movement. It is intention. Your intention, your wishes move you. You are your living intention. The benefits from doing awareness through movement lessons come not in the doing or in the movement itself, but in how you take care of yourself, how you tend to yourself while you are experiencing the process of the lesson. And pause. Learning comes not from the doing, but from the experience. And you may find that listening to yourself in this kind, non-judgmental way generalizes to the rest of your life. You may find yourself listening to your own limits, checking in with yourself and knowing when to say yes and when to say no. Now continue the imaginary movement of lifting your arm with the ring finger initiating the movement. Again, following the pathway of the line as it travels through your ring finger and up your arm. And gently returning to the surface. Letting your attention sweep throughout you, letting go of any unnecessary tension, and resting at the end of each movement. Like when you go on vacation, but then it feels good to go back home. And pause. Feldenkrais said, safety must be familiar. Safety must be familiar. And he goes on to ask, what does home mean to you? Where do you go when tired or hurt? Gently continue this lifting movement now with your little finger following the pathway. Observing, is it a little different angle when initiating with this finger? Gently coming down. And then onto the thumb. Is there more curve in the line of movement when initiating with the thumb? Can you extend the thumb gently? And not pull it back towards your arm too much, in your imagination, of course. And how does the angle of the arm change slightly when initiating with the thumb? Resting between each movement, going home, feeling safe, and pause. Now, without initiating with any one finger, lift your entire arm in your imagination, floating it up. Enjoy the intention of lifting your arm. Rest between each imaginary movement. The movement can be as easy and light and fluid as you wish in your imagination. And let it go even higher, softly higher now, in your imagination, and faster, but smoothly faster, up and then back down, up and then back down, like whoosh, whoosh. You may imagine it's like a cartoon, very fast and easy, whoosh, whoosh, and rest. How has your contact changed since the beginning of the lesson? After only these imaginary movements, this imaginary journey, how do you sense the arm with which you were working, its size, its volume, contact with the surface, and your shoulder on this side? Has your idea of shoulder expanded to include more of you, more of the shoulder blade and back, in the front and at the chest? Compare with your other shoulder. How are they different? How is all along one side of you, the chest and back along one side, the leg, the hip. How is it different when compared with the other side? Then, in reality, as you did at the beginning of this lesson, in reality, gently lift this same arm. How heavy or light is it to lift now compared to the beginning? So you lift the arm in reality and see, how does it compare with how you did it at the beginning? And rest. How are all parts of you spreading out from your spine and your center now? And how does the breath show you the way? Thank you.